Yo, what's going on, guys? Matthew V. Haynes here, aka the Clock Master. Okay, so I just reacted to the Fantastic Four trailer. I was a couple weeks late, but I saw that new Rockstars did a video. Now, I don't normally like to, I don't even really watch their channel a lot. I used to watch it a lot back in the day, but shout out to new Rockstars. The original link is in the description box below. Please check out their content and their video. All credits to them for providing content for this video. So I'm gonna be reacting to this and sharing my thoughts and whatever they're breaking down, because I know they're really good at breaking down certain things and trailers that you might have missed, and I'm pretty sure I missed a lot of things in my initial watch. I only seen it one time. So let's just hear what they have to say, and I will share my thoughts and comments on their video. Again, the link to their original video is in the description box below. Please make sure to go ahead and check that out and subscribe to their channel if you didn't already. And subscribe to this channel if you like my insight on their insight. So let's get right into it. Okay, and for clarification, guys, this is not their trailer breakdown video. This is actually their Silver Surfer and Galactus New Clues video. So that link to this video is in the description box below. Maybe I'll check out their actual trailer breakdown in another video. That one's a little bit longer than I thought. Let's check out this one, though.
Rockstars, I'm Eric Boss, and with the latest trailer for Fantastic Four First Steps, we learned some important information about this movie's Silver Surfer, played by Garner. And yeah, roll the clip here.
If you want to stop me, you're gonna have to f***ing kill me!
Based on an interview Garner did with
Seen that before. I've actually never seen that clip before. Oh my god. First of all, I don't even care about the fact that Silver Surfer is a woman here. If you read the comic books, you'll know, in the comic books, there's a version of Silver Surfer that's a female that I remember reading. So I don't really care too much about that.
Entertainment Weekly, and the questions she was and was not allowed to answer. In this video, I'm going to break down the new details we actually learned and some additional visuals we can now connect the dots on from the latest trailer, both the normal version and the expanded IMAX aspect ratio you may be seen in cinemas. And the shirt I'm wearing is our exclusive Fantastic Four Future Foundation shirt, available at nerdriot.shop, which is one of the best ways you can support us at New Rockstars. Okay, in the days after Marvel Studios released their first official look at the Silver Surfer in this alternate universe of the movie, Ball, Garner chatted with Entertainment Weekly and revealed some clues about the character's history in this movie. They asked, tell me about your casting process. Did you know you were going for this role specifically, or was that a secret even from you for a while? And she responded, no, I met up with Matt Shackman, who's lovely. We met up at some restaurant in Burbank or something. I don't even remember, but I knew it was for the Fantastic Four. And then I was confused because I was like, wait, isn't the Silver Surfer a man? I was just like, okay, well, I'll play anything. I was a very big fan of Matt's, so there was already in my mind, I should probably meet with Matt Shackman because he's a very smart director and I love his work. And then he was explaining to me that it's actually Ball and that whole thing. He was telling me a whole bunch about the movie, and we were talking a lot about the 1960s. Our meeting went all over the place, and I thought I wasn't actually going to get the part because the meeting was all over the place. I was like, I don't know how you will hire me for this job. I mean, we were talking about communism and brutalist architecture, all this stuff. And then they were like, you got it. I was like, wait, what?
Brutalist architecture. That's another thing I'm I had a recent addiction to that type of architecture, just because when I first heard about it last year, I was like, this is actually kind of interesting. And I started noticing it in certain movies where they take inspiration from brutalism. And I'm like, I saw it in Dune, and I saw it in other films and some aspects of Star Wars. And I'm like, that's kind of cool. I don't know how that relates to this, but I'm like, brutalist architecture. That's something that I've also recently been kind of addicted to. Oh, also another reason, because I'm a huge Rick Owens fan. Okay, I love his fashion. I love how he designs things. And I remember watching an interview from him, and he was talking about how brutalism, brutalist architecture, inspires his cuts and his fashion and the way he designs clothing. And I thought that was really cool. Anyways.
So I think that we vibed, but you never know, basically is what I'm saying. Communism and brutalist architecture, eh? The reason those words jumped out to me is in the past, Matt Shackman has told Entertainment Weekly further details about this alternate universe and how Reed Richards is kind of like a, what if there was an Albert Einstein, Steve Jobs, and Robert Moses all in one, who could have invented and built non-nuclear alternatives to clean energy and would have reshaped the Cold War of this reality. I spotted how the astronaut patches are not NASA, but rather ANSA, suggesting that the space race of this universe was not at all affected by any kind of Cold War against those commies. We learned how Sue Storm is leading the Future Foundation that brought about global demilitarization and world peace. That's it.
That is actually very interesting. I didn't even notice half of this stuff. That's actually pretty interesting.
I think we can assume that there was, before all this, a World War II of this universe. And I get this from one detail in the recent trailer. The thing lifts a seafoam green Volkswagen Bug. And the Volkswagen's company history had its roots in the 1930s. As Germany was becoming a fascist dictatorship, Hitler got directly involved in 1934 and ordered Volkswagen to manufacture their cars into a car every German family could afford. Now, I'm not doing this to shame Volkswagen, because really it was after the war when Volkswagen totally changed up its brand as a West German industrial icon. West Germany being the more capitalistic, pro-American, pro-UK side of the country in the 50s and 60s. But the 60s Bug we see in this movie is more of a reflection of that post-war history. And I just think
I wouldn't even think that a single car in a trailer would affect the entire perspective of a breakdown. These are things I overlook a lot sometimes. That's very interesting.
I think there was a World War II in this alternate universe, but Reed Richards was in the room for the Manhattan Project and just ensured that the war ended differently. And maybe based on his college friend being Ben Grimm, maybe he intervened a bit sooner. Like, who knows if a young Eric Lenscher ever went through the trauma of a concentration camp that sparked his mutant abilities.
I actually just watched First Class again, like the other day, because again, I'm a huge fan of mutants. I'm a huge fan of the X-Men. They're my favorite group of heroes. So First Class is playing and I had to rewatch this movie. So yeah.
To manifest when they did in this universe. Either way, it's safe to say that none of the history that produced other Marvel heroes and villains happened in this Fantastic Four universe.
Interesting.
Like no X-Men, no Stark Industries, no Super Soldier program, no Hulk Gamma experiments. I'm assuming no Eternals, probably not a Tiamat sleeping in this core, but probably a Victor Von Doom. Just not going to be in this movie. But I think there was a Victor Von Doom of this universe. Actually, there's a detail of the clock in the Baxter Building kitchen being at 6:26.
Like the Doomsday clock?
Down to the Sunday night at 7 dinner time. That someone in our premiere chat last week suggested as a possible clue that this universe's numerical designation could be Earth 626. I just think that's what time it was in this shot. But I still love the idea of this universe being numbered 626 because it's just off enough from 616 that suggests that this version of Reed and Sue and Johnny and Ben might feel at home in 616. It just kind of feels right that we could hear that come up in a Council of Reeds.
How would they feel? Yeah, Council of Reeds. That's another thing that's really cool about the Fantastic Four. But like, how would they feel at home if 626 is different from 616 in the sense that 616 had all of it's a parallel to our like current world in history, right? Like they mentioned World War II and how those events shaped pretty much every other hero, like Captain America, the X-Men, Magneto, and so on, and all of the things that he just listed, right? So how would they feel at home? I need you guys to comment on that. How would they feel at home if literally every other event that happened in 616 didn't happen on this 626, and they would not know what a world would be like if things played out a certain way, if the Cold War did happen, and also like how would they feel? Comment on that. Comment down below.
Among Pedro Pascal Reed and John Krasinski Reed and Miles Teller Reed and Yoan Griffith Reed actually made a video in the past year showing
do we acknowledge Miles Teller's Reed? Do we acknowledge him, by the way? Like, let me know in the comments down below. Do we acknowledge him? Do we acknowledge him? Let me know.
Reed and Yoan Griffith Reed actually made a video in the past year showing a set video from outside the Fantastic Four set showing some mystery actor being snuck onto the set with his head covered, and he was wearing skinny jeans and having a certain size feet that I think I matched to Yoan Griffith. I live in Los Angeles.
Bruh, this man is matching feet like shoes. Okay, this guy does his homework. Okay, I will give him that. This guy is an analysis. He's an what's the word? Not an analysis. That's not even that's not even a thing. He is an analytical person. I don't know, man. He's an analyzer. There we go. I'm complicating things. He's an analyzer.
And now that it's April, it is hot. Summer is here, and it's not going anywhere until after Halloween. That means if I want to get any sleep for the next 6 months, I'm going to need all the help I can get. And with Miracle Made sheets, I can get sleep.
There's an ad. We're going to skip that. Shout out to their ad person, though. I'm not sponsored to say anything, so I'm not going to promote that. But we're going to skip.
today's video. There was also Julia Garner mentioning in this interview brutalist architecture that I found interesting because Matt Shakman and the cast and production designer Kazra Farhani have been specific with their architectural influences and being inspired by the retro-futurist concepts of Sid Mead. And I know for sure that Julia did not mix these up because later in this interview she also brings up retro-futurism and she clearly knows what she's talking about here. Sid Mead's concepts are not what you would call brutalism, as opposed to the curved loops and domes and orbs and like bright snowflakey starbursts that we know from the Jetsons of Tomorrowland, inspired by Sid Mead. Brutalism is a different thing. That refers to an aesthetic that we would see like in Eastern Europe and Russia in the 20th century, inspired by straight lines and minimal ornamentation, muted colors, and just giant imposing surfaces with very straightforward shapes. Actually, one in Star Wars we've identified with the Empire's aesthetic that we see on Coruscant and Andor during the Imperial era. The New York City of the Fantastic Four movie is not brutalist, but some setting that we see in this movie might be if it came up in the conversation. So does that mean the world that Shalabal comes from is brutalist? Are we going to see her home world of Zen La? And are we going to see her partner, Norin Rad? But here's really the part of the Julia Garner Entertainment Weekly article that I found the most interesting that could speak to this. They asked, how did Matt Shakman describe this version of the Silver Surfer to you at first? And when you got the script, how was she written on the page? And she responded, "You're gonna have to kill me!" Just kidding. She said, "It's going to be really interesting. I have to be so cryptic about everything, otherwise I'm going to have Marvel come after me." But it was described as there's this mystery about her, and there's a sense of this ambiguous energy going on, and whether she's good or not. She is the Herald of Galactus, so she works for Galactus, but you're not sure where she stands. Does she stand with her boss, or is she just doing what she's told? She has this mysterious energy about her, and slowly that mystery will get solved with the audience throughout watching it. It's clear from this and further questions that Marvel Studios coached Julia Garner to just
absolutely. And are they gonna go anti-hero route with her in the movie as well?
fall back on mystery and mysterious when talking about the character's motivation and backstory. But there's also
she's not going to answer anything.
She's going to betray Galactus, so she's guided by some other motivation. I talked about how Marvel Studios, with this design of the Silver Surfer, are emphasizing specific physical characteristics, from her windswept hair to distinctly visible eyes and pupils. And I just noticed this on the shot of Shalabal lowering down over Times Square: distinct feet and toes. Entertainment Weekly also asked about the Silver Surfer compared to the version of the 2007 film played by Doug Jones and voiced by Lawrence Fishburne. And she said,
listen, man, that version of Silver Surfer was clutch, man. I don't care what you guys say about that movie. That movie, in my opinion, minus Galactus just kind of being a big storm cloud, his version, like all of the scenes with him, like Silver Surfer in that film, was peak, bro. I ain't gonna hold you, okay? Again, those movies were my childhood, so I have a little bit of nostalgia bias to it, but I feel like his design in those movies were like extremely peak. So I don't care what y'all say, man.
And she said, what makes this version different is that the movie is just different. First of all, I'm a woman, so that's already different, and that hasn't been told before. This Silver Surfer feels more mysterious in a way, even how it was written, than the other ones. Also, just the world feels so different with the 1960s retro-futurism going on. The audience is going to get a completely different experience with this movie, so they'll have a clean palette. While we're on this subject of the 2007 movie, the movie was criticized a lot for the decision to depict Galactus as a giant space cloud and not his more comic accurate appearance. But in the breakdown we did that movie last year, I explained how that was being debated late into the post-production process among the team. That 2007 movie's opening shot is an impressive looking destruction of another world, similar to the world-bursting shot we see in this 2025 movie's trailer. And in that 2007 film, we actually see a shot of Saturn with Galactus's comic accurate antlered helmet forming a shadow.
I was gonna say too, like, about Galactus, by the way. He is a planet eater, so he can pretty much just, he can like take almost any form he wants. So like you can kind of like argue that Galactus could be a cloud if he wanted to, because his size can change dependent, like he can change his size depending on a lot of factors, right? It's like he can be small enough to walk on Earth, but he can be like large enough to like consume like an entire galaxy if needed. Like dude's huge.
On the gas giant. There were people working on that movie who intended on depicting Galactus accurately, but someone at the studio shot down the final act having a giant floating in space.
Yeah, it's so weird though.
From the ground perspective, the way the Earth begins to dematerialize in that movie's final battle is how it would look and feel to people on a planet when Galactus is in the process of consuming it. We have to clear some things up here about Galactus. This guy does not devour worlds by like grabbing it and biting it like a burger. Galactus approaches the planet with instruments from his ship, Tatu, that converts the planet into into energy that his technology absorbs and converts into a form that Galactus can consume. In fact, I think we actually see that soupy form in the trailer. This shot of the Silver Surfer rising up out of some kind of molten
Oh, I see all that stuff in the back.
From a forge. If you look closely at and bright in the background, that machinery kind of looks like some steampunk formation.
Okay, that's kind of cool. You see, I would have never noticed that either. That's actually very, very cool.
That we saw in the Metropolis film, mixed, I guess, with H.R. Giger's designs of the derelict ship in 1979's Alien, and really just physical forms based on the shapes of Tatu that we've seen in the comics. And it makes me think that here are seeing the inside of Tatu, and we are seeing the planetary forge that takes the life force of a consumed planet and turns it into this soup that Shalabal is swimming through right now. Actually, that other shot of her surfing a wave of fire, I think could be an earlier stage of that digestion process. If you really want to see the best available shots of Galactus, you need to look at the IMAX versions of the 2 trailers that have been released. In the IMAX February teaser, you can see the top of Galactus's helmet as he looks at the Statue of Liberty, and in the IMAX version of the April trailer, you can see more of Galactus's other leg and the shot of Reed stretching, and you can see the shape of his boots better and the reflection of his form better in the final shot of him stomping through the city when you see it in the IMAX aspect ratio. In addition to the details that they used a practical miniature model for the city based on the way the lamp posts wobble, I think we also need to know that the city appears to be empty and a building is boarded up, suggesting that the people of New York have prepared for Galactus'
evacuated. Yeah, that's what I said. That's what I said in my trailer reaction. That they might have just been evacuated and like already gone to safety.
Maybe to evacuate the people of this planet through a life raft of some kind. Either way, Galactus is not consuming this world the way he has consumed other worlds. He is on this planet using his resizing ability to find something. We think baby Franklin Richards, for reasons I've gone into in other videos. But this whole idea of Reed evacuating the planet on a life raft might be based on a moment that we see the Future Foundation Reed doing this in the Time Runs Out comics that you'll know if you read those comics has some disastrous effects, losing one of those rafts in an incursion rift. But I think this will be part of Reed's final plan to build new ships to traverse dimensional rifts to help people escape Galactus as he turns his planet into soup after.
So I wonder, does this Earth just straight up get like destroyed, and then like does Reed and them like somehow end up in 616 through like some type of weird time break, or maybe like Franklin does something that like rips apart space and time somehow, and they kind of get portaled through and end up in 616? Like maybe do they actually lose? Like, do they lose here? And does this Earth get consumed? And then they somehow end up in 616. I have a feeling that they will straight up lose, that they're not going to win this.
He cannot find the baby he's looking for. In fact, that may be what the Earth shatter shot of the ship facing the planet from the trailer was showing. And by the way, there is a Japanese ad that you can find online that shows a very blurry form of Ralph Ineson's Galactus. Comment down below with your thoughts, and a special thanks to...
All right, man. Shout out to New Rockstars on this video that they made. Go and show them love. Go subscribe, give them a review as well, give them a like. He definitely provided some insight for me on this trailer. Again, this is not like the trailer like breakdown that he did for the previous one. I didn't see that one. But it gave me some insight and some things to talk about. So yeah, once again, check out the video, go show them love, okay? And let me know your thoughts down below. I wonder, like, are they going to lose this? Is the Fantastic Four designed in this version of the MCU to lose and not make it out? Like, are they straight up just going to lose this and then somehow end up in 616 through some type of weird portal or reality warping of some kind? You guys let me know all of your thoughts and comments down below. I'm going to try to make sure I see Thunderbolts this weekend and give my thoughts and reviews on that. And yeah, guys, I'm very excited for where Marvel is right now. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Clockmaster out.